So daddy long-legged spiders actually don't have venom, but they do apparently taste strongly of mint. It's a defense mechanism to keep them from being eaten. And now you know that. The more you know. Hey folks, welcome to This Week in History. Let's party on. On April 18th in 1783, while negotiating the Articles of Confederation, which for those of you unaware, was the first American Constitution that was in place from 1781 until 1789, the Second Continental Congress first created the 3/5 Compromise, whereby 3/5 of a state's slave population would be counted for tax purposes. Free blacks counted as a whole person. This was also later added to the actual Constitution. On April 19th of 1506, roughly 2,000 people accused of being Jewish were arrested, interrogated, tortured, and executed. Then they had their bodies burned by Portuguese Catholics in the 3-day Lisbon Massacre. And this was all before they'd even started their Inquisition. In 1713, Holy Roman Emperor Charles VI, seeing that there could be an issue once he passed away, considering he had no male heir, issued the Pragmatic Sanction of 1713 to ensure that his lands and throne could be inherited by a female. Of course, this was Europe, so yeah, that didn't work, and hence we had the War of Austrian Succession. By the way, that is Charles VI. But that's Charles VI of France. This is Charles VI of Austria. But speaking of the French one, Charles VI of France ruled for 42 years and was the embodiment of you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. He literally went from being known as Charles the Beloved to Charles the Mad. Mad as in he would have outbursts and kill anyone near him until he could be subdued. Or much of the time he wasn't sure who anyone, including himself, was. He had to be reminded that he was king on multiple occasions. He spent about a year believing he was St. George, and in order to curtail him, parts of his residence were bricked up to keep him away from the public. Okay, yeah, it was to protect the public. He also sometimes thought he was made of glass and went so far as to have iron rods sewn into his clothes to keep him from breaking. Again, he ruled for 42 years. I just wanted to repeat that. Oh, and there was this time when he and several others dressed as wild men for a feast where their costumes caught on fire and 4 of them died. Of course, the king was not among them. But his weakness as a ruler also was a major factor in the starting of the 3rd phase of the 100 Years' War. And because of a treaty he had earlier signed when he died, 9-month-old Henry VI became King of France. He was already King of England, so hey, why not? On April 20th of 1535, a rather famous sundog phenomenon was observed over Stockholm, Sweden. A sundog being an optical illusion created by ice in the atmosphere, or something along those lines. We do history here, not science. And supposedly it's called a sundog because it accompanies the sun, or, you know, it's at its side like a dog. In 1792, France declared war against the King of Hungary and Bohemia. Notice it was against the king, not the kingdom, beginning the French Revolutionary Wars. They did so in response to foreign troops at their border whose king was very nervous about what was going on in France. On April 21st in 753 BC, the city of Rome was founded by Romulus. Yes, he had a twin brother named Remus, but he killed him, though the stories differ on why. In 1836, Texian forces defeated Mexican troops at the Battle of San Jacinto, the final battle of the Texas Revolution. General Santa Anna would be discovered amongst captured soldiers the next day, and a peace would be signed. And of course, a major shout out to our patrons, Steve Stevens and Clayton Jaimez. We appreciate your support, and if you want to get your name up on that wall of awesomeness, head on over to Patreon to check it out. On April 22nd, 1519, the settlement of Veracruz was established by Hernan Cortez. In 1876, the National League played its first game ever at Jefferson Street grounds in Philadelphia. The National League would eventually become Major League Baseball, so this is also seen as the first MLB game. In 1889, at noon, thousands rushed to claim land in the Oklahoma Land Rush of 1889. Now, some people had snuck onto the land early and hid in order to pick the best spots and claim them when the time came, and these cheaters became known as Sooners. On April 24th in 1479 BC, Tutmos III ascended to the throne of Egypt at the age of 2, though his stepmother/aunt Hatshepsut pretty much ran things for the first 22 years of his 54-year reign. He's called the Napoleon of Egypt because of his penchant for conquering, and it's under him that the empire may have reached its largest size in both power and land area. He was also the first Egyptian king to be referred to as Pharaoh. That had actually been the name of the palace up to that point, and the rulers had been called this, something along the lines of Nesut or something, yeah, the Egyptian word for king. And in 1183 BC is traditionally believed to be the day of the fall of Troy, marking the end of the Trojan War. Yeah, we're pretty sure that one actually happened. And that's just gonna about do it for this week, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Be happy, be healthy, and y'all come back now, you hear?